The pizza box sat open on the table, stone cold, the cheese hardened into rubber. The birthday candles were still in their box, never even touched. And there he was, my father-in-law, slumped in his chair, staring at the door like all hope had already walked out. Then the phone rang. A video call. My husband and his mother were on screen, soaking up the Hawaiian sun, laughing like nothing back home mattered. "Enjoy babysitting the cripple," they sneered. I felt him flinch beside me, every muscle tightening. Then slowly, he pushed himself up. His legs shook, but he stood tall. He looked me dead in the eyes, his voice low but steady. "It's showtime. Let's make them pay." That was the exact moment everything shifted. I used to think I married for love. I believed he was the man who'd protect me, cherish me, and help me build a life worth living. But what I actually married into was a cage, a husband whose charm was only a mask, and a mother-in-law whose poison dripped from every word she spoke. At first, I excused their cruelty toward his father. I thought maybe it was grief, some twisted way of coping with his paralysis. But grief doesn't laugh when a man struggles to breathe. Grief doesn't starve him on his birthday. Grief doesn't call him dead weight. I stayed quiet and watched, every smile from my husband cutting deeper. The truth revealed itself in pieces. Business trips that stretched into weeks, money slipping into hidden accounts, whispers of a mistress in the very hotel I once dreamed we'd visit together. But that Hawaii call, laughing while the old man sat alone in the dark, that was the blade that didn't twist anymore. It cut straight through. I didn't break. I recalculated. We started planning together. Funny, isn't it? The man everyone thought was broken became my ally, my partner in revenge. While they sipped cocktails on the beach, we rebuilt in the shadows. He wasn't as weak as they wanted him to believe, and I wasn't as naive as they thought I was. First came the paperwork, every document my husband had left behind. I gathered them all. Tax records, hidden transfers, offshore accounts, the kind of evidence that turns wealth into chains if handled right. Then came the recordings. I set my phone on the table during their calls, catching every insult, every slip, every cruel laugh. Enough proof to crush their reputations in courtrooms, boardrooms, and in the eyes of everyone who once respected them. Meanwhile, his father trained, one painful step at a time. Behind closed doors, he forced his body to remember strength. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't painless, but it was progress. The man they abandoned became the very foundation of their downfall. By the time they came back from Hawaii, tanned, smug, certain they still owned the world, the trap was ready. I greeted them at the door with a smile. He rolled into the living room in his chair, playing the role they expected, silent, helpless. My husband kissed me like nothing had changed. His mother wrinkled her nose at the untouched cake. And then it happened. He rose, slow, steady, each step echoing like thunder. Their faces drained of color. Before they could say a word, I hit play. Their own voices filled the room. Dead weight. Cruel laughter, sharp as glass. I watched them gag on their own words. The fallout wasn't quick. I didn't want quick. I wanted thorough. The evidence went everywhere. Into the courts, into the press, straight to the boardrooms where my husband's name once commanded respect. Fraud, infidelity, elder abuse. It peeled his life apart, layer by layer, reputation by reputation. And his mother, she wasn't spared either. Her voice, her laughter, her cruelty, it all echoed through every corner of the family she pretended to rule. She became an outcast in the very circle she once poisoned. I didn't have to raise my voice. The recording shouted for me. The real climax wasn't an argument or fists flying, it was silence. That heavy silence that comes when power changes hands. When the people who thought they were untouchable suddenly realize how small they've always been. I looked my husband in the eye, stripped of everything, and whispered, "You taught me silence. Now drown in it." The house feels different now, lighter. His father, my partner, my ally, sits at the head of the table, no longer invisible, no longer mocked. He may still walk with a limp, but his presence fills the room like a fortress. My husband lives in the ruins of his own making. No money, no status, only the sound of his own laughter playing back as proof of his downfall. His mother? She has no one left to poison. Revenge isn't about rage. It's about patience. It's about letting your enemies build their own gallows. then calmly handing them the rope. That night, when he stood and said, "It's showtime," I realized something. We weren't just punishing them, we were reclaiming ourselves. Now, whenever I see that cold, forgotten pizza box, I don't feel loneliness anymore. I see the start of their end. Because justice doesn't always wear a robe. Sometimes it wears silence, sometimes it wears a smile, and sometimes it walks on the legs of a man they swore would never stand.